It is the 1st of September, so that means we can look at the monthly candles to give us a bit of insight of what could lie ahead for the rest of this month and potentially for the next few months. Now, it is September. This is the month that I've been waiting for, that I've been warning about, that could potentially be a shakeout or a sell-off, a retest of the $17,000 lows that we saw in June, or potentially even below that, because September just has this track record of being a bad month for stocks and for crypto. So let's have a look at the charts and let's see if that is indeed going to be a possibility with targets for bullish and bearish scenarios. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please click that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell if you want to get those future updates. If you want to get on my email list, it is the first link in the description down below. And if you enjoy this content, I'd appreciate it if you click the thumbs up button and share this on social media so it goes out to more people and more people can benefit from this analysis. Let's start out by looking at the Bitcoin historic monthly returns, and you can see over here since 2013 for the month of September there have only been 2 years where it has been green, and those 2 years were minimal, 2.35% and 6% in the green for Bitcoin, and that is very small for Bitcoin. So basically, based on history, we can expect a small month to the upside if it is end up being green, or it's going to be red single digit or double digit, as it has tended to be for the majority of Septembers. And finally, I just want to remind you again, we are in a midterm election year for the US, and based on this historic data of midterm election years for the S&P 500, you can see that it tends to peak. It has a little rally towards the end of August and then comes down and has a sell-off which bottoms somewhere middle of September to end of September. And then from October onwards, because the election is in November, we get this major rally in the stock market. So far, that has been pretty much what has happened this year. We have seen this negative returns. We had a little pump that ended somewhere middle August, and now we are in September. So again, that lines up with the data suggesting that there is a good chance that on average, we are going to go lower this month. But then, if this continues to play out, we could be looking at a Q4 rally for the US midterms, meaning October and November could end up being once again very bullish, and we might see a really good opportunity here if we do get this crash in September to be able to purchase really low and then hopefully for a bounce in October and November going forward. So that is the opportunity that lies ahead. Again, if this plays out in this way, there's no guarantees, there's only probabilities, but I'm showing you this data because the data is the average of what has happened, and again, that gives us some potential predicting capabilities of what could happen this year. So you can see Bitcoin is trading at just under $20,000. This is the monthly chart. It is on a log scale, specifically for this purpose that I want to show you in a second. But first, let's go look at what I said in August prediction for the monthly analysis. So predictions for the month, let's keep it simple. Let's sum it up with some actual numbers. I would want to see this stay above the 50 moving average on the monthly. So that means we need to stay above $22,000 with a monthly close. As long as that is the case, there is good potential for the bulls to continue. Also keep an eye on the 200-week moving average. As long as we stay above there, things are good for the bulls. Get back below there with a weekly close or monthly close, then things start looking sketchy again. So that is what trading and technical analysis is about. It is about probabilities in different scenarios, and we look at different levels, meaning if it stays above a certain level, then there's potential for bullish continuation. If we flip certain levels, then things can happen, and vice versa. If we break down below key levels, well, then the scenario changes and it's more likely that the trend is going to reverse, right? And that is exactly what happened. So we have the 50 moving average here in blue. Okay, and let me zoom in a little bit first before we get into the larger picture. But when I made a last month's video in August, we were still in the green, we were still above the 50 moving average. And I said as long as we stayed above there, there's potential for this upside continuation. And that was indeed the case. As long as we were above there, there was potential for more upside, 27 or 30,000. Now we didn't get that. Instead, we got a reversal. And this actually happened before the time I actually made videos during the month, because that's the thing about making monthly videos a month at a time. A lot changes within a month. So within that month, once I started to see it on the weekly candle and we started to get that close below the 200 weekly moving average, that was already a bearish signal, and I made that video warning about there's negative divergences and we are likely going lower, and that is indeed what happened. So now we got the confirmation on the monthly candle where we closed back below this 50 moving average, and this is just technically a bearish sign. It means we failed to reclaim it. Okay, we got this close here, which, by the way, if you go back, that's why I have this on log scale because it's easier to see. You can see we didn't have a monthly close below this 50 moving average, basically going all the way back here to 2015, and that was bad already in June. Luckily that ended up bouncing. We got a reclaim of the 50 and that looked potentially bullish, but that failed, which shows there is no strength for the bulls at this point. The bears are still very much in control and they pushed us back below this 50 moving average. So right now the key is simple. For us to get bullish again on Bitcoin, we want to get back above this 50 moving average with a monthly close. So that is above about 22,500 at this point. Of course, during the month on lower time frames, on the weekly, on the daily, we can get quicker signals or confirmations that we might be moving higher. So if we get back above the 200 week moving average, for example, or if we get back above the 50-day moving average. But those are videos that I can make during the month. Okay, so if we're looking purely on a monthly time frame, this is bearish. We want to see a reclaim of 22,500 with a monthly close above that before we start to get bullish. And the bearish technical target could potentially be this fair value gap on weekly. I've talked about it on other videos. Basically, it is also the resistance over here in 2018, resistance over here in 2019, and you can see that's where we finally broke through in 2020. It's very possible that we retest this level, which is somewhere between $10,000 and $14,000. Now, given that, like I've showed you, September is historically a bad month, both for stocks in the midterm election year and for cryptocurrency, it is possible if we get this bad sell-off in September that we actually hit this target of $10,000 to $14,000 this month. And then the question is going to be, if that happens, that might end up being the bottom or the support that we are looking for, because it would mean very likely on the daily time frame and maybe even on the 3-day or the weekly that we create new lows in price, but a higher low on the RSI, creating a bullish RSI divergence on higher time frames, meaning that that could very well be what we are looking for. I will make a separate video on how those bottoms are formed with RSI divergences, because that's a bit too much to go into, but that is what we could potentially be looking for. And if I see that and we get that target 10 to 14,000, I will be looking closer on the lower time frames for a potential real bottom entry on Bitcoin and on crypto. But you can see over here, breaking this average and closing below it is typically not a good sign. Because if you compare this to, for example, the weekly, let's change this. Let's change it to the weekly over here. Let's hide all the annotations. And you can see over here just what happens when you break an important moving average. And this is on the weekly, obviously it's a lower time frame. Same principles apply. It's still the 50 moving average. As long as we were above it, look what happened. We had this entire bull market here. Massive run up. Same thing over here in 2020. As long as we were above the 50, right, we had the entire bull market. The moment we broke below it, we ended up going a lot lower. Same thing over here. So if we are looking on the monthly, honestly, closing below it does not look good. And I know this is a log scale, so it does change how it looks a little bit, but is not a good sign from a technical perspective for the bullish case. So what I would like to see as a good scenario is we get that drop to the 10 to 14,000, we create that bullish divergence on the daily or 3-day or weekly, and then we recover that quickly in Q4. We reclaim the important moving averages, get back above the 50, and then we can start a recovery process towards a new bull market, which probably doesn't happen straight away. We could be looking at months of sideways accumulation, but as long as we get that bullish divergence, create the bottom, and get back above that 50-week moving average, I would feel pretty confident about crypto going forward again and for a future bull market. So before I share my thoughts on the Ethereum chart, let's look at last month, what I said for August analysis. So what we are looking is obviously for this to stay above the monthly open. So get it to stay above 1570, that would be great. And for the upside, like I said, somewhere between 2,000 and 2,400, maybe around 2,200 this month. So I basically said there was potential for further upside, looking for somewhere between 2,000 and 2,400, and we want to stay above that monthly open. Now, both of those things happened. Basically, we went to just over $2,000. We went to $2,030 over here, $2,031. We got rejected. That was that same high, and we closed back below the previous monthly open, which is what I said we need to stay above there, otherwise things look bearish. So you can see over here, just simply drawing this as a support resistance, you can see this red band over here. It acted as support over here for the May 2021 sell-off, and now it has acted as resistance for, I guess we can call this a bear market rally. So again, this does look bearish in my opinion, this candle. So what we are looking for, and again, if September is going to sell off, if the stock markets are going to sell off, if Bitcoin is going to sell off, Ethereum is very likely going to follow. Downside target, I would be looking at, this 50 moving average, see if that can hold support, so around 1,200. If that breaks, we're probably going back to retest the lows around just under 900, and if that breaks, there is potential for us to go still a lot lower, between $300 and $500 in a crazy extreme sell-off situation, because first of all, that would match the drawdown from 2018, so it still wouldn't be too crazy, okay? It would be just over 90% if we do go into that level. But also we have this Ethereum merge that is supposed to happen now in the month of September, somewhere in the middle of September, if it does actually meet the deadlines. We don't know, it could be delayed, it could be postponed, and even if it does end up happening, there's still a lot of things that could go wrong. Keep in mind also, this whole merge narrative could have been an entire, people buying the hype, buying leading up to it, and just selling it after the merge, potentially waiting for a fork where Ethereum is transitioning to proof of stake, but there's also rumors about people forking the chain and keeping a proof of work chain, and that if you hold ETH, you would potentially get the fork and all sorts of things like that. So there are still a lot of things that could potentially go wrong for Ethereum that could send it lower if things go wrong. But on the bullish case, of course, and that is always a possibility too. Again, we have to keep both sides open in our strategies. If the charts are showing us that indeed we do continue the bullish scenario, I would want to see us get back above this monthly high, so above 2030, and ideally we want to get back above there with at least a weekly close, if not a monthly close above there. Once we get back above there and we can flip this area now, which is acting as resistance, back to support, then we can start talking about further upside. So 2030 on the upside, we want to flip that to be able to get bullish, and downside we're looking at the 50 MA, so about 1200. If that breaks, about just under 900, and if that breaks, probably somewhere between 300 and 500. Worst case, if something goes wrong with the merge, or global stock market sell-off in an extreme way. And then finally, I want to cover the S&P 500, the stock markets, because that is going to be important for what happens to crypto. If stock markets sell off this month due to the correlation with Bitcoin, and of course altcoins related to Bitcoin in that same way, if the stock markets sell off, I think it's very, very likely that crypto is going to sell off even more because of that correlation. We've seen that so far. And unfortunately, the S&P 500 does not look bullish to me at this point. Combine that with the historic midterm election performance. September is literally the worst month of that year for the stock markets, and the charts are kind of reflecting it. So what do we have here on a monthly chart? We have a bearish RSI divergence. Now, of course, this is a monthly chart, so it can take a long time to play out, but that is not what we want to see if we stay bullish. Bearish divergences are not good. Okay, I made that video about bearish divergences on 12-hour time frames in Bitcoin, and a couple weeks ago. It's on the channel, you can go and check it out, and you all saw what happened after that. It was also present on the weekly chart in Bitcoin with the $66,000 and the $69,000 top in Bitcoin, and it led to a huge sell-off after. So this is not good for the coming months or the coming year or two ahead for stock markets, because it could potentially be signaling a lot lower. What we also have, which is not good, is this level over here, which was support for a while as we got above it. It has now broken below that, and it is now acting as resistance. As you can see, we got this monthly close here for the month of August It tried to get above there, it got rejected, closed back below there. This is generally a bearish candle where we should see further downside. My targets would be, I think, at least the 50-month moving average over here, which you can see has acted as support a few times. So if we can get back down there, that's about 3,500. That's still about 10% down on the stock market, and there's no guarantees it stops there. If it breaks below that, I mean, you can see over here, March 2020, it ended up going lower. So if the stock market sells off 10% or more, we can expect the crypto markets to also sell off, as you've seen with my analysis that I gave earlier in this video, what I could expect for September potentially there. So this does not look great. What I'd want to see here for the stock market, we want to flip this level. Okay, we want to flip it back to support. We want to get back above 4,300, 4,330 with the monthly close. We get back above there and we can potentially talk about new highs. That is still a possibility. But until we do that, and as long as we are below it, there is downside potential, and maybe even as much as a 200-month moving average, which is currently at about 2100, 2150, which is a long way to go. That is almost a 50% drop, which would basically create a repeat of the 2008 style financial crisis. And if you go back to the weekly chart, right, if you go back to the weekly chart, unfortunately also, let's change this to log, it's easier to see. You can see the same thing has happened so far as in 2008 with a rejection of the 50-week moving average. You can see we broke down 200, back a bear market rally to the 50, and then a massive sell-off. We have had a similar thing. We broke down below the 50, went to the 200, bear market rally to the 50, and now we are rejected over here. So if we break down here below this 200-week moving average, things could get pretty bad for the stock market. So let's hope that is not the case, because obviously we all want the markets to go higher. Let's hope this is just going to be a test of the lows, maybe slightly lower for the stock market, for Bitcoin, for crypto. Then we can get a good entry there for a long position, and hopefully that marks the bottom. We can continue higher. We flip this into support and we can continue to new highs. But of course the macro climate does not really look too great, with the central banks increasing interest rates to combat inflation, and they're basically hawkish stance on that, saying they are not planning on pivoting, they're not planning on cutting rates anytime soon. And of course, as long as they continue to raise interest rates, that is bad for the stock market. So we will have to wait and see what this month brings us, and then after that we can look at what lies ahead for Q4, because the end of this month, of course, is also the quarterly close. So be sure to subscribe to the channel down below, click the notification bell, get on my email list, the first link in the description down below, because I will continue to do updates, not only on the first of the month, so in the 1st of October I'll do another update, but throughout the month as things start to change, I will also provide more updates here on the channel for free. And if you do want premium updates, if you want daily updates, join my Intelligent Cryptocurrency VIP membership. It is the second link in the description down below. That way you get literal daily updates. We have a Discord chat group, so it's like real time, 24/7. We have access to all our members, so 1,500 plus members from around the world, but also to myself personally. I'm in there every day sharing charts, my thoughts, updates, and as the market gives us different information and different data, I obviously share that in real time. I also share my own personal trades, setups, in real time for you to see what I'm personally doing with my own money, so you can use that information to help make your own decisions. And of course, all of this is backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, no strings attached. So if you want to sign up and you're not happy for any reason, you can get your money back in full. And really, if you're working with decent money in this market, you need all the edge you can get, and I think I provide a really good edge for the cost of the membership fee. So click the second link in the description down below, join us, see if it's for you. If you're not happy, you can get your money back, and if it is for you, would love you to stay and be a part of the community. Thanks for watching. Let's see what September brings. Stay safe, stay happy, and I will see you in the next video.